welcome to our live crafting session this evening. My name's Jenny McCormack and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the market town of Brackley in Northamptonshire in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I hope you've had a great day. I've just realised that the post I intended to send at 6:30 didn't actually send, so I can discard all of that and catch up with you all now. So this week we're focusing on embossing, and by that I mean our embossing folders that work with our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and they will work with all major sets of embossing machines, cutting machines. And these are the ones that we created yesterday using 2 of our embossing folders. So this technique was, hopefully you can see this. Oh, I'll just turn that overhead light off. It's a bit shadowy. Sorry. So this technique was just using a die cut piece and running it through an embossing folder. This is the Merry Melody embossing folder with the music, and that would work for any occasion. I changed it into a Christmas card using a Christmas sentiment. Hi Jeanette, thanks for joining us. Thinking of you today, especially after I saw your post earlier on. Just sending you hugs for today. So this is the first one, and then the other one I did, which I finished off after the live session, was using vellum through the embossing folder. This is the Fancy Flowers, and then using our blends pens, our alcohol markers, but you could use Stampin' Up markers. To an extent you could also use watercolour pencils on the reverse of the vellum, and then I've laid that onto a piece of white card. I'm just making sure we're still live, which we are just. Okay, so I've got 2 more techniques for you today, so I'm going to be doing techniques all week, and the first one I've got is stamping with your embossing folders. So what we're actually going to do is ink up an embossing folder and use the detail on here with ink to imprint onto the card. Now this works particularly on one side and to a lesser extent the other, because the amount of contact and the amount of ink that's going to come in contact with your card. So I'm going to use some white card, and I'll probably use, I've got some real red ink, but I might switch that out for some melon mambo or something, or sweet sorbet. So all we're going to do is take a piece of card. I'm actually going to take 2 because I want to show you the difference between the 2 layers. Now this doesn't necessarily work if you've got embossing folders that have a design that will only go one way. For example, the text embossing folders, obviously one side will work because the text will read the right way round, but the reverse side won't, because the text will be effectively back to front. So I'm going to do, I've got 2 pieces of cards, so I'm going to put them both in so you can see the difference between the front and the back, and I'm actually going to use the same folder as this one so that you can see the finished effect. Okay, so just going to put this to one side, and grab, I've got sweet Might switch it to Melon Mambo. Only because I've got some Melon Mambo cardstock to hand. So I've got Melon Mambo here. And I'm going to ink up both sides of this embossing folder. Now this, you could easily get yourself covered in ink if you're not careful. Hi Linda. But let's give this a go. So you can do this with any embossing folder. This is a standard one as opposed to a thick one. And I'm going to ink up both sides. So this is one side. So if you don't even have an embossing machine, you can use your embossing folders as almost as stamps. Obviously they're not as deep as stamps would be. So that's one side. And I'm also going to do the other. And you'll see we've got effectively a positive and a negative. Now I've inked up the whole folder, but the piece of card I've cut I know will fit inside of that. So I don't know if you can see that. There's the one side. Actually, I'll lift it up a little bit, would be better for you. So there's the one side, like so. And if you concentrate on this flower here, and then if you look at this one, you get the negative side, which is the outside image. So we're going to get two different looks. One will definitely be better than the other. Okay, so I'm going to take two pieces of card which I've sort of sandwiched together. They're not attached, and you want to put it in just very delicately, really. I'm going to put that straight down. I'm going to fold this one over, trying not to move it. And then you can actually put this through the die cutting machine if you want. I'm just going to leave it as is for the minute. I am going to use, I have got a brayer here just to put a little more pressure on, but it's not really necessary. I'm going to turn this one over and do this side. Okay. So this is effectively the back piece. So that is the effect that we have. Hi Carol, nice to have you join us. Okay, and then that is the front piece. So if I hold that up so you can see that in a little bit more detail. And obviously you could run that through as the embossing folder in the die cutting machine, but that is just basically using it as a stamp. So that side is what would be the front piece of your card, your front embossing folder, like so. And then this piece is the negative part of it, if that makes any sense. So you do get a nice effect for both. And you could add a bit of watercolour to this if you wanted to change it up, or you could just use it as a background, and the same for this one here. So the other thing you can do is do the same thing with ink and run it through the die cutting machine. So I'm not going to be able to do that with this one. I might just cut another piece just to show you that other effect. So that's those two there. I know you can't see them in full detail. Let's just cut another piece of card. Bear with me one moment. I can tell those that are not watching the football. because you're here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to wipe this down, and what I would normally do with this is just run it under the tap. I'm just wiping it not over the surface so of my piece here. There we go. It's not pristine by any means, but actually I might just put a wipe over it. Normally I would just run it under the tap. But this is just give you a few more ideas of things that you can do with your existing embossing folders. Give them a new lease of life. Okay. It's a little bit better. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is make sure I get the right one. So this is the front, so I'm going to ink up the front again, and that's the one with the big Stampin' Up logo on. And then this time I'm going to put my piece of paper in and then run it through the embossing folder so that you'll see the effect that we get. And this is a standard embossing folder, like so. I haven't got a huge amount of ink on there. So I'm going to pop this in, fold this over, and I'm just going to put this through my machine. I've got the machine off camera just because there's not really a lot of space to lift it up onto my desk. So just going to run that through. Okay, so as you can see, you get a completely different look. So because I've added quite a lot of ink, it's obviously laid some of it down onto the detail, but it's pushed the ink into the background, so it really makes it stand out. Hi Tracy. So from that one embossing folder, we've got 3 looks, if you like. We've got the outline as if you'd stamped it as if it was a stamp. We've got the negative of that. And then we've got the inked and embossed version. I think it's slightly moved, which is why this looks slightly different, because it's inked and then it's obviously moved a little bit, but you can see this real rich detail here at the bottom. If I just lift it up, look at that. It almost looks like it's embossed in white. And that's another thing you can do, is you can apply Versamark, run it through, and then you can heat set that with some clear embossing powder. So we've still to do that. So that's the first technique, stamping with embossing folders. So that's the front, if you like, that's the back of the embossing folder, and then this is one with ink. So quite a different look. So that's 3 looks that you can get in one. So that's that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is some double embossing, but in a slightly different way. So let me bring these pieces in here. So I've got a piece of Parakeet Party, and I've got some holly leaves, and I've got the fern embossing folder. I know you can't see that. Let's see if you can, if I do that. Maybe that's a little bit better. Just about, yes, you can see the fern detail. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to glue down some holly leaves onto this piece here. Hi Sylvia, thanks for joining us. Just going to put them in here at random, like so. And then I'm going to run them through the fern embossing folder. So the fern embossing folder is a 3D. So not only will it embed these pieces into the parakeet party, but it will also emboss the design. So let's just pop these on. So I've just cut this to size for a card, and I'm just going to use a little bit of glue to attach these, and I'm just going to let them go off the card. I've got some larger, some smaller. I hope you're well, Sylvia and Tracy. Let's do it like so. And it's a shame I haven't still got a holly embossing folder, because that would have worked particularly well. But I think this will work anyway. Let's do this one at an angle. Excellent, Sylvia, glad to hear that. Okay, let's pop this in. So this can be absolutely anything that you're laying together. You could just do this with circles. Get a really modern look by just punching out. If you've got a circle punch out a whole series of circles and attach them, and then run it through an embossing folder of some kind. Let's do this one there. Hi Scott, hope your mum's alright this evening. So I was going to pop that one in there, and this one here, and I'm just going to trim off the edges. And when you run it through the embossing folder, of course, it really does squeeze it together. So if you haven't got glue all the way over, it would embed it anyway. Okay, so I don't think I need that one. I could just put a tiny bit in, maybe. Just in there. Thanks, Carol. As is so often the case, we learn these ideas and then we just don't do them again. Let's pop a little one in there. Okay, like so. Oops. A little too much glue, but that will do the job. Okay, and obviously if you can match up the design on the back. Now this could also be designer series paper, it doesn't have to be cardstock. So I'm just going to take my glasses off and cut just along the edge, like so, like that. I've got nice pink fingers, everybody. It's great to see you this afternoon, Scott. Okay. There we go. And then I could have just used the trimmer or guillotine and cut this down to size. Would have been a bit quicker than just cutting the edges, but never mind. Not to worry. Okay, and then last side, like so. So I've got my holly leaves on, which I've cut in evening evergreen, and they are on my parakeet party. Now I'm going to grab my 3D embossing folder. So this is the fern, so this is a thick embossing folder. So I'm going to pop this in face up. So remember, in general, you want the Stampin' Up logo to be on the top. So if you had words or anything like that, that's the way round that you want it to be. And I'm just going to find my plate. I've taken my glasses off, now I can't see the plate I need. Oh, there it is. Okay, so for this one I'm just going to use a base plate, my folder, and then our adapter plate on top, like that. Just going to run this through. Oh, Tracy's watching and crocheting. I'm very impressed. So I'm hoping you're going to be able to see this, but now I've got the leaves embedded into the lighter green, and it's got the pattern on the top, if you can see that. So it's got the fern. If I turn it over, you might be able to see it a little bit better. There we go. Like so. So effectively you've got a double layer of embossing. You've added die cuts and then an embossed layer on the top, and the good thing about that is it really does sort of push that in together, and often that's a good one to do if you take some pieces of designer paper and lay them onto a piece of card and then you run it through. You get almost like, depending on what folder, it's almost like a quilted effect. So that is that one there. So let's make that one into a card. I've got a piece of evening evergreen. I've got a piece of basic white, and I'm going to pop that layer on like that. And obviously I've chosen outlines, but you could actually use the detailed holly leaves for that if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a solid image on there. So let's just layer that together. Just fold this one over like that. So I do encourage you to grab your embossing folders, and they can be any that you've got stashed away, and just have a go with some different techniques. So that one's going to go on top of there, and I think you could also have a double layer here if you wanted to, of the outline and the inner. So where you've got an embossed layer, you want to make sure that you're applying more glue than you would normally, because you've got the undulations to stick down. Okay, so let's pop that on there. This one doesn't really have a right or a wrong way. This would work portrait or landscape, definitely. Okay. And let's take this one here. So this is the outline version. These are the other two versions that I did. So there's this one here that I've inked up and put through the embossing folder. This one was the back of the embossing folder, the inside, which also gives a nice effect. And then this one is just inked up and pressed. And obviously I'd press a little bit harder here or add a little bit more ink, but I don't think that really matters at all. So I can layer those up. Might put some ribbon around that. Let's grab that. I've got some ribbon left from class. It's not quite the same, but I think it will be good enough. So let's pop that layer onto there. And then you could die cut a flower or a sentiment to pop on the top. So there's this one here, and remember this could have been Versamark, and I could have then applied gold embossing powder. How lovely would that be? So watch out over the next couple of days, because I've got lots more embossing folder techniques to share with you. Let's just put this one on here. Just going to wrap this round like so. Like that. Okay, just trim that and tidy it up. Tidy my bow a little bit. Like that. And then tighten it. There we go. Now I do need to make you aware that from the 1st of December we have a list of items from the July to December catalogue that are being retired and will be discounted, and we'll also have the list of items that will be carried forward. So I am going to do a run through tomorrow of products that are retiring and discounted, because come the 1st of December, which by my calculation is Thursday, they will go on sale, and some of the items will sell out quickly. I know all of the papers are on sale and discounted. I think they're £4.50, something like that. A lot of the items are discounted up to 60%. So if you have had your eye on something that was in the catalogue, then what you can do is you can place your own order from the 1st of December onwards, or you can send me your list of items that you would like and I can place the order for you. Right, I'm going to put something in here to cover up that little extra bit of ink, only because it's annoying me a little bit. So I'm just going to grab I'm pretty sure I've got a spare circle in here. So this is going to end up very similar to this one. But so you can see it's exactly the same folder, but what a different look. So let's pop on there. What have I got? From the framed florets for a special person on a special day. Let's use that one. let's see which one will fit. That one will fit, I think. So this says, wishes for a beautiful birthday. So this stamp set is in the new catalogue that comes out in January. You can actually pre-order this particular set. They Stampin' Up released them early. And if you want to be able to choose from any of the new items in advance, then anybody has the option of joining my team. You can join in December and pre-order any of the new items that are coming out. Okay, wishes for a beautiful birthday. And I might just use a little bit of ink on this edge just to finish it off. Just to save me getting a die cut piece out. So just a little bit of pink. Oh, there's also a lot of pink on there already. Just touching the edge. So the secret is start off and then introduce it. Don't go straight onto the card like so. So very much a monochrome card, this one. There we go. So wishes for a beautiful birthday. Just going to pop that up on some dimensionals. So I will be back again tomorrow for some more embossing folder techniques. And what I do like is the embossing folders aren't relatively expensive. So, you know, make use of the ones that you've got. I am doing an offer for 10% off any embossing folders ordered this week because I'm not running it as a stamp set of the week. Right, there we go. That is that card finished. Thank you, Jeanette. You take care too. And then I'll just finish this one off. I might do something similar if I've got another, do with a circular, oh, it's a bit big. Let's see what I've got in my little stash here. Da-da-da. It's a little bit big. And I've got a punch that I can punch out a few sprigs that would fit behind that. Thanks, Carol. So this could be a Christmas card, or it could be a birthday card for somebody at Christmas. Let's pop on a Christmas sentiment, if I can see one. One that fits in there really. That one doesn't quite. It's a bit close. No, I'm not going to choose that one. Bear with me. That one won't fit either. Oh, let's let's see. Right. This one will then. This Merry Christmas here. Oops. So I'm going to stamp that in Evening Evergreen. Just to finish that off. If I've got some spare bits of holly, gold bits of holly, that would look really nice. Tucked in behind, wouldn't it? Okay, glasses off. I don't think I cleaned that Merry Christmas stamp. Oh no, got away with it. Okay, got a pink ink on the side. Let's wipe that off. So this is going to go onto here, and then I'm going to dig out, because I don't think I have any just to hand. Some of these. Those. They're a bit heavy for what I want. I think I want some gold holly leaves. So I'm going to die cut some of those because I'm conscious of the time. So I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals, die cut some gold holly and tuck that in behind to finish that one off. So I'll just pop that up. And then I'll photograph and add the photos of those two finished cards. So I hope you will give some of these techniques a go. I'm going to put this one across, just across there. And then I'm going to tuck in some holly to that. So we've got the holly on there, and then we put it through the embossing folder, which is not really obvious here, I'm afraid, but hopefully you'll see it on the photo. And then this one is the one that I stamped using the embossing folder, and then I've still got two more that I can use. This is the back side of the stamp, and this is the one that I inked and ran through the embossing folder. And that really does look stunning. So I might do, because it moves slightly, I might do another one of those off camera and add that. So I do hope you'll give those a go. And let me see how you get on. Feel free to post any samples. And I'll be back again tomorrow with some, I think I'm going to do some heat embossing. And I'm also going to do a card with this, for example, with an oval in the middle where the oval is left out, so that you have a border but nothing in the middle. So that's my plan for tomorrow. Another two samples. I will do another one of these just because I want it a little bit finer than I've got, because it's slightly blurred at the top. So what I will do for that is I'll put a little bit of tape on the back, so when it goes in the embossing folder through the machine, that will hold it in place. So thank you everybody. I hope you have a great evening, whoever you might be supporting, if you're supporting England or Wales or anybody else for that matter. So thank you so much, and I look forward to crafting with you again tomorrow. I'll be here at 10 AM UK time. And obviously if you're watching on YouTube, catch up, replay, or on Facebook, if you have any queries or questions and you're not live, just pop them in the comments section and I'll be more than happy to help you answer those. Just wondering. I don't think it needs anything else. Right, that's lovely. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening. Take care now. Bye-bye.